hope I don't. I feel like writing lately, and so I hope I don't waste all of this energy. I know it's not wasted, I know that, but sometimes it's much easier for me to just rant on a subject, well, sometimes, all the time, than it is to actually like write it down into something useful. And so I'm trying to do that, and I don't know if it'll happen. Anyway, this is not a video about love, or loving, or being loved in return, a la Moulin Rouge, etc. This is about yi. I think that the greatest thing you'll ever learn in meditation, energy work, internal alchemy, manifestation, magic, etc., is about yi. And it's such a small word. And I was going to go in all of my different books and look up a specific description, but I've talked about it before, and I think it will be just more fruitful if I just talk about it. That yi is supposed to be, in English, intention. And it's also attention. When Coyote talks about the Akadwa, he's very specific in that he says it needs attention in order to activate. So you can have as much Akadwa as possible in your system all the time. It's not going to do anything unless you give it attention. And at the most simple, you don't even have to think anything. You just give it attention. You're aware that it is there. When you become aware of it, it becomes aware of you, and it starts to activate itself. The waters begin to stir. And that's true with any energy, basically. Particularly with the Akadwa, I think, just because it is so intimately connected to that type of attention. And it's interesting that in some philosophies and some practices, they're constantly trying to cut off all of the senses. When I find you're working with a specific type of energy that is very powerful like this, attention and using all of those senses at attention just compounds the energy more. And so this can be a split in two different directions, if you want to look at it that way, two different schools of thought, where you need to go inside, and discover all of those things for yourself, and you'll discover the incredible power that lies within you, all the way down, all the way up, whatever. Or you've got this external type of energy, or internal type of energy, but let's call it a foreign energy, like the Akadwa that was given to you by someone through a transmission, or Reiki, which isn't necessarily natural to the body. It's just you're initiated and you're opened up to this type of energy, and now it can run through your body if you so choose. And intention is what makes it, or attention is what opens you up to that. So why do I think this is the most important thing? Is because everything hinges on it. If you want to know how to direct energy towards someone who isn't in front of you, you need intention and attention. You need yi, this power. If you want to direct energy to someone who is in front of you, you need the same power. You need to focus on that. And again, at its most simple, to me, it is attention. Okay, so that's where it starts. Now, the Taoists, the Chinese, might have a different word for the attention, and they might split it off into levels. I don't know. All I know is yi. Alright? And I know that other synonyms for it would be will. And you're sort of using this power of the mind, basically, this force of the mind. It's a strange quality when you think about it. What is there in the mind that allows us to make that push towards another direction, towards a different direction? I'm thinking about my ex and getting really, really depressed. Nope. I'm going to think about this other stuff right now. Okay, just let that other stuff go. Thinking about this, just happy, happy thoughts, positivity, etc. You can do that. You can completely change your mind if you have that power, if you have that force, you have that will, that intention, that ability to use attention to your advantage. So when you say paying attention to something, you open up all your senses towards it, Okay, so that's good. I'm listening, I'm looking, maybe, I'm feeling, smelling, whatever. That's how we perceive things. So that's attention, right? And then intention, you have to have a goal, a purpose in mind, right? And so you use your attention, focus your mind towards that specific goal. That's the essence of all manifestation, really. Whether it's external and you're doing a ritual, or it's completely internal and you're just doing some sort of meditation or whatever, that's the essence of all manifestation. That's where it starts, right? That's the essence of all magic too. And Crowley would agree with me, interestingly enough. So attention, intention, force, will, power, all of that good stuff. That's where it starts, and the more that you get into this whole world, the more clear it becomes how important it is. And it starts to change after a while, especially when you're using intention, attention, yi, in connection with a certain type of energy. That energy feeds back on itself and feeds back on that attention. It starts to manifest. You feel that energy, and then you pay more attention to it, and then the more attention causes it to grow more, and then it keeps going. That's how it works. That's why the Ikadawa to me is so special, because you can actually feel it, really, really strongly, and it makes you pay attention. When you pay attention to it, it basically makes you pay attention to it more, and so then it keeps going. Not just that, at its very basic, this is a form of meditation. This is what's called access concentration. When you sit down to meditate and you pick one object, whether it's in your mind or in front of you, and you try to be open to that object. So let's say you're looking at it, and try to be open to everything it has to offer you, and then let all of your preconceptions about it fall away, and just have that clear, perfect perception of it. You are focusing your will constantly on that object. You're using yi to restrain your mind, which is going like crazy all over the place, and thinking about ham sandwiches and jam, and restraining it, reining it in with yi to focus on that one object. Eventually, you will come to a place that is it is in between all of the stuff that you've been trying. So there's the concentrate, come on, and the oh wow, I just took it in very well. I should probably relax a little more. Somewhere in between that relaxed and that really focused state where you suddenly realize it all clicks, and that's the only thing in your mind. Even if it only happens for 2 seconds, you get this fabulous feeling of weightlessness in your head and clarity about that one particular object, and you're like, oh my god, this is what it's about. How come I've never experienced that before in my everyday life? It's because we're just all the time. Mind is crazy. And that's access concentration. And why it's called access concentration, and I'm using that term, it's a specific term in jhana meditation, and basically that's where that starts. So that's the next power, So the very beginning, you're trying to do something, you're trying to direct energy, you're trying to meditate, you're trying to manifest, you're trying to do whatever, and you have absolutely no mental power. And so it's like, okay, birds, angry birds, completely distracted, can't focus on anything for more than 2 seconds, right? Okay, that's a problem. How you get past that is by trying. All right, so continually try, continually try, continually try. Come back, come back, come back, come back, come back. You're using the force of your mind, you're using will, you're using yi, you're using your intention to focus on one object. Eventually, you'll get to where you can concentrate on one thing for a little while. Then you reach that state of access concentration, and it kind of like is a validation for everything else. Like, oh my god, there really is something beyond all of this. Like, this is what it's like to actually perceive clearly. How have I been missing this my entire life? When people talk about meditation, you talk about clearing the mind or emptying the mind. Half the people, especially Westerners, think that you're just like, you're in this like vegetative state with absolutely, complete vacuity, and you're just like, like, that's not meditation, all right? That's alcohol. And everyone participates in that readily without giving it a second thought in this world, okay? That's any type of drug that is a dampener or whatever, duller. Meditation is the opposite of that. So you think that your mind is clear? Actually try meditating for 2 months and let me know afterwards. Even if you don't get to that very beginning state of access concentration in practicing every single day for 2 months, you will without a doubt know how different your mind becomes just by trying, just by engaging yi, just by engaging that little piece of you that knows how to push you towards something that you're really uncomfortable with, namely having clarity of thought or no thought, clarity of perception, and seeing reality in a completely different way. It's going to be so much more comfortable than you ever thought possible. And when you have that one moment that's of basically a type of enlightenment, I would argue, literally happened to me just a couple months ago. I was just doing this, and I was just doing witnessing meditation. Just witness, just be aware. Doesn't matter what thoughts come up, they're there. Just let them fall away, And it was just suddenly this moment of like, where everything before me just lightened up, literally lightened up. I could see light coming off of the things that I was looking at. It wasn't there before. I'm like, where did all of this light come from? There was no candles, there was nothing behind me that was happening. I know that it was all perception, and it was just like this clear perception of light that wasn't there before, and it was so magical. Okay, so from that point on, access concentration, you start to realize, like, wow, my mind is a wild horse or a group of wild ponies, and they need to be reined in. So you start to understand that. You start to understand what magical things can be accomplished if only you get to that very first level of access concentration, that very first level of restraining your mind to perceive clearly, okay? You can accomplish a lot just with that. And that's not even the first level of jhana meditation. That's the beginning stage, okay? And then the next one is the first jhana, and it's amazing and beautiful. I'm not talking about jhana meditation. I'm talking about yi. So I just have to talk about, that's the only way I know how to describe it. I don't know what other traditions call it, or if they even bother talking about it. In the Taoist tradition, you're talking about all this internal alchemy, and they're talking about different types of energy, and coagulating them and circulating them through certain paths and all of this stuff, which is stuff that I know how to do and do frequently. It's just that I don't think they do much preparatory work. Much in the same way that people think Buddha was just some guy who sat under a tree and became enlightened one day. No. He knew all of the meditation techniques that were popular at the time, and the popular technique at the time was jhana meditation. And so he could get to these insane levels of perception that most of us would be like, I could die happy if I could get to the third jhana and just experience that that amazingness, that bliss, that clarity of thought, and apply it to anything in my life, and just have that ability would be like, you don't even know how much that changes you, you know? I mean, people, I think, they think that meditation is either being a zombie with a completely empty mind, or imagining fluffy clouds, or imagining myself sitting by a pond somewhere with birds chirping and everything's peaceful and serene, and then I go home and roll up my yoga mat, you know? No. There are a lot of things that you can accomplish with meditation, concentration, training your perception, and all of that, right? I would recommend you look up jhana meditation as Jhana. And so Buddha knew how to get to all of those places. Beyond all of those jhanas is basically full enlightenment, you know? And I'm not going to put it into such tight quarters or whatever, but that's basically it. Like, he was there. He had a lot of training already. In the same way, I assume that the Taoist masters taught all of this preparatory work probably for several years to their students before they actually started talking about this other stuff and using colorful imagery and doing interesting circulations. I'm sure it was all, part and parcel, and they were doing this stuff at the same time, and probably Tao Yin and prepping the body and rejuvenation and all of that stuff, which is fabulous. But they don't really go much into how you meditate. It was just something that was already understood. You will learn this way, this form of concentration, bridle your mind, restrain your mind, learn how to focus, learn how to perceive, then you do all this other magical stuff, That's prerequisite to all of those things. And it's funny because it all came backwards for me, and so I started practicing these things and then eventually learned that, oh, yeah, this isn't necessarily a form of just internal energy circulation. This is Yi Gong. This is work on the mind, work on the will, that focus, using it and using perception, using attention, using will, all of that to change your perception or change your attention so that the other type of work can manifest itself naturally. So like during spontaneous adjustment, qigong or whatever, it gets a point where your mind just kind of like slows down and you're thinking about your grocery list and you're moving around, and then you're just like, okay, everything's I should probably be focusing on, yin and yang coming down into my body and being open to the earth, and then suddenly it's like, and all this crazy stuff is happening again. That's the power of Yi in one of the most direct ways that I had to learn about it. Energy goes where mind flows is the new agey term, which is loose and really says nothing, but it says everything at the same time. It just doesn't explain anything to me. It's completely true. You learn how to focus your mind in one place, that's where you're going to draw energy from. This is why I'm able to channel any type of energy possible, right? Any type of energy that a human being can channel, I can channel. I don't need initiations. I don't need someone waving their hands over me telling me that I now have the ability to channel this energy, because I've trained my mind well enough to focus in on it. And I've opened my body well enough to receive it. That's all that you need, Yi can go anywhere. So if you have absolutely no idea about a certain subject, you can learn about it. This is a really tricky one because that would be extremely difficult to do, learn about a subject without seeing it anywhere. But it's true. You have access to that information. You have access to everything that's been done before as well. Like I've started circulations in my body without knowing the paths of those circulations of energy throughout my body, without knowing the actual paths of those circulations. So what does that mean? I know what it's called, and other people have done it and called it that, and I use my mind to focus in on the meaning of it, and then the circulation would start by itself. Okay, that's the power of Yi. You can do things that you have no idea how to do in the dumb conscious mind, which is where we all seem to live all of the time. That's the power of yi. That's the power of intention, will, focus, attention, all of that stuff. Too many words, too many English words, and so that's why I think that this thing of yi is so important. And yi is the push, it is the force or whatever. I don't know if it's necessarily considered to be attention, so don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to lump all of that together, but I am trying to make it clear. That's why I try to use so many words, is because we don't really have a word for that, you know? I guess intention is the only thing that comes close. But then, you know, it's like, ooh, what was your intention? You know, no, that's not what I'm talking about. Ow. Something on there. Attractive. Anyway, so there's that. What else do I want to say? Since everything is energy work, but we always come back to it, and that's what I really want to help people with, and ascension work. How does this manifest for me personally? When let's say I'm actually in front of someone and I'm giving an energy healing, and then my mind is going to do all kinds of crazy things, alright? Like, oh, I don't want to get too close because I don't want to make them uncomfortable. You know, some people are uncomfortable with touching. Oh, you know, what do I do with my eyes? What do I do with my energy? Can I feel the energy? Should I do a specific type of energy? Everything's going around in my head all at once, right? But then I just use yi and come back to it. That simple act of attention, will, focus, power, all of that, both. I am activating that energy. And I know that no matter what my mind does, it doesn't matter. Because all of that chatter is extremely weak mental energy. It's extremely weak, right? Otherwise it would fly off and manifest in crazy ways in our lives, and we would, you know, it would be bedlam. But I know that yi is more powerful. My concentration, my will is much more powerful than even my mind, which continues to chatter. I'm not saying I get, you know, complete perfect concentration all of a sudden, but then I can latch that onto the energy that I'm focusing, and they ride each other like a surfer on a wave, you know? And if I just keep my intention and I just keep coming back and coming back, get distracted again, come back, get distracted again, come back, I can breathe easy, because with just that little bit of a push, the energy is that much stronger. And then I get distracted again, then with just a little bit of a push, the energy gets that much stronger, alright? And it continues to flow. Continues to flow even without my thinking about it, or without my intending it to, you know? And then I get distracted again, and then come back to it, get distracted again, and come back to it. And it's a continual process of doing that, you know? And I'll have moments of very clear, absolutely no thought. You don't even have to know what your intention is to intend it. That's another special thing about yi. You don't have to know what that intention is. Like and what I mean by know is you don't have to constantly remind yourself. I'm always struggling to do that because it is a higher form of using yi, right? Just like I can use it to direct certain pathways throughout my body without knowing exactly what those pathways are. A higher form of knowledge without actually knowing it, you know. I can use it to do the same thing as far as moving energy or whatever, you know. So yeah. Sort of lost my point. Anyway, so that's a big discussion on yi, I guess. So I think it's the most important thing you learn in energy work or whatever, because there are a lot of other things that are important, like being able to sense energy, but if you don't know how to direct it and you don't know how to concentrate on it, then you're not going to feel it anyway. And so it doesn't really matter if everything is completely cleared out and you're all vibrant and happy and got all this energy running through you. Then if you don't know how to concentrate on it or even pay attention to one thing for a few minutes, then you're going to not notice it. So please explore that. And I've gotten some people who are just really lazy, you know, but I'm tired, you know, and it's like, well, toodaloo. I can't help you if you're not willing to attempt to concentrate for more than 5 minutes. There are some prerequisites to this stuff. No one's gonna do it for you. All right, I do healings and stuff for people, but I can't teach you. I can't train you how to be someone who works with energy and who manifests all of their latent abilities if you're not willing to actually try. It's like I had someone say, "Will Ormus help me with my health problems?" And my daughter is overweight and we're really struggling with that. I said, "Well, sure. How's your diet?" "Oh, our diet isn't so good." Well, I'm sorry, but no magical substance is going to come in and save you from eating at McDonald's every day. That's up to you. Willpower. Do it. Just do it. All right?